The hostage situation was in its third hour. The sniper was down. No clear shot. 800 meters, wind at 15 knots. Then, the blind woman who sold flowers at the gate touched the sergeant's arm. "I need a rifle," she said. Everyone laughed, until she took off her glasses. From which city in the world are you watching this video today? If stories about hidden warriors and impossible shots speak to you, consider subscribing to Hidden Hero Stories for more tales of those who see everything while appearing to see nothing. Margaret had been selling flowers at the gates of Fort Carson for exactly 10 years, 3 months, and 17 days. Every morning, she arrived at 7 a.m. sharp, her white cane tapping a familiar rhythm against the concrete, her dark glasses reflecting the Colorado sunrise, her cart of fresh flowers filling the air with lavender and roses. The guards knew her routine by heart. She'd set up her small stand, arrange the bouquets with careful, practiced movements, and greet each passing soldier with the same gentle smile. "Morning flowers for your sweetheart?" she'd call out, her voice carrying that particular quality of forced cheer that people associate with those making the best of difficult circumstances. Some soldiers bought flowers out of pity, others because her roses really were the best in Colorado Springs. Most just walked past, barely registering the blind flower lady who'd become as much a part of the base's landscape as the mountains in the distance. Sergeant James Morrison had been buying daisies from her every Friday for 3 years, his wife's favorite. He'd guide her hand to the money, wait patiently while she felt the bills to determine their value, and always told her to keep the change. She knew him by his footsteps, she said. Heavy boots, slight drag on the left foot from an old injury. "You're favoring that leg again, Sergeant Morrison," she'd say. "You should have that looked at." He'd laugh it off, amazed at how much the blind could notice when they really listened. If only he'd known how much she really noticed. That morning, the morning everything changed, started like any other. Margaret arrived at 7 a.m., tapped her way to her usual spot, and began arranging flowers she supposedly couldn't see. The guards waved her through without a second glance. 10 years of the same routine had made her invisible in a different way than her supposed blindness. She was background noise, a fixture, as unremarkable as a bench or a trash can. But at 9:43, the sirens shattered the morning calm. The base lockdown was immediate, gates sealed. Personnel scrambled to positions. Margaret stood by her flower cart, head tilted, listening to the chaos with the practiced calm of someone who'd heard such sounds before, though no one would have guessed where. "Ma'am, you need to take shelter," Private Chen said, jogging over to her. He was new, only 2 weeks on gate duty, still nervous about protocol. "There's a situation." "What kind of situation?" Margaret asked, her fingers still absently arranging stems. "I can't. It's classified. Please, ma'am, let me help you to the security building." She allowed him to take her arm, left her cart where it stood, and let him guide her toward the concrete structure that served as the gate's security checkpoint. But her head was turned toward the main base, and if anyone had been watching closely, they would have noticed her counting under her breath, measuring distances by sound. The situation was critical. In the base's administrative building, 3 armed intruders had taken 12 hostages, including Colonel Harrison's teenage daughter who'd been visiting for Bring Your Child to Work Day. The intruders were professionals, military trained by their movements. They'd killed 2 guards in the initial breach and wounded 3 others, including Staff Sergeant Reyes, the base's primary sniper. In the command post, chaos reigned controlled. Major General Patricia Woods commanded the scene, her voice cutting through the noise with practiced authority. "I need options, people. What's our sniper status?" "Reyes is in surgery," Captain Kumar reported. "Hoffman is on leave. Jackson's at the other range, 20 minutes out minimum. Unacceptable. Who else is certified?" "Running the list now, ma'am. But for that distance, with those wind conditions and civilians in play, we need someone exceptional." Outside, Margaret had convinced Private Chen she'd be fine in the security building's break room. "I'll just sit here quietly," she assured him. "You go do your duty." The moment he left, she stood, walked to the window with no hesitation, no cane, and studied the situation. Her eyes, those supposedly useless eyes behind dark glasses, tracked movement patterns, calculated angles, measured wind speed by the flag's motion. She saw the sniper's nest on the opposite building, now empty after Reyes had been shot. She saw the administrative building where the hostages were held, windows partially visible at 823 meters. She saw everything, and she made a decision that had been 10 years in the making. Walking back outside, She approached the command vehicle where Sergeant Morrison was coordinating perimeter security. She moved differently now, still with the cane, still tapping, but with a purpose that made Morrison look twice. "Margaret, you should be in shelter." "Sergeant Morrison," she said quietly, "I need to speak with whoever's in command, now." "That's not possible. There's a situation. 3 hostiles, 12 hostages. Your sniper is down. 800-meter shot required. Wind at 15 knots from the northwest, gusting to 20. 2 windows of opportunity when the target's past the 3rd-floor conference room windows." She paused. "I need a rifle." Morrison's jaw dropped. "Margaret, what?" She reached up and removed her glasses. Her eyes were ice blue, sharp as winter sky, and very much functional. Morrison stumbled backward. "Sergeant," she said, her voice carrying a different quality now. "Command presence," they called it in the service. "Every second we waste, those hostages are in greater danger. Get me to your commander, now." Too shocked to argue, Morrison led her to the mobile command post. General Woods looked up irritably as they entered. "Sergeant, this better be—" "Ma'am," Margaret interrupted, stepping forward. "Master Sergeant Rachel Cooper, retired. Serial number 486-55-9021. Sniper qualified. 17 confirmed kills in Afghanistan. I can make this shot." The command post fell silent. Someone typed rapidly, pulling up her service record, or trying to. "That serial number returns classified," the tech specialist said. "I can't access—" "Operation Blackwater, Margaret," Rachel said simply. "You won't find much. Most of my record is sealed." General Woods studied her. "You've been selling flowers at our gate, pretending to be blind, for 10 years. "Yes, ma'am." "Why?" Rachel's expression tightened. "That's a longer story than we have time for. Right now, you need someone who can make an impossible shot. I'm here. Use me or don't, but decide quickly." Woods made the kind of split-second decision that generals are paid to make. "Get her a rifle." "Ma'am," Captain Kumar protested, "we can't verify her credentials. She could be—" "Captain, in 15 seconds, I'm going to describe exactly where each hostile is positioned, based solely on sound patterns and electromagnetic signatures from their equipment. Then you're going to check it against your thermal imaging and realize I'm right. Then you're going to get me that rifle." She proceeded to do exactly that, pinpointing positions with uncanny accuracy. Kumar's skepticism evaporated as thermal imaging confirmed every detail. "How?" he breathed. 10 years of listening," Rachel said simply. "I know every sound this base makes, every footstep pattern, every vehicle, every weapon's distinctive noise. When you can't use your eyes, or when people think you can't, you develop other skills." They gave her Reyes's rifle, a modified M24 SWS. She handled it with the kind of familiarity that comes from thousands of hours of practice, but it had been 10 years since she'd officially fired a weapon. Her hands should have been shaking. They weren't. As they moved her to the sniper's position, Morrison walked beside her. "Why?" he asked quietly. "Why pretend all these years?" "Witness protection," she said simply. "The cartel I testified against had a very long reach. The blind flower lady was invisible. Rachel Cooper, expert sniper, she had a target on her back. But now you're exposing yourself. Some things are worth the risk, Sergeant. That man's daughter in there, she's 14. Same age as—" She trailed off, shook her head. "It doesn't matter. What matters is the shot." The sniper's nest was a modified position on the roof of the medical building. As Rachel settled into position, muscle memory took over. The rifle felt like an extension of her body, familiar as breathing. She adjusted for wind, for distance, for the Earth's rotation at this latitude, calculations that took place below conscious thought. Through the scope, she could see the conference room windows. Brief movements, shadows, 823 meters. At this distance, with this wind, most snipers would consider it extremely difficult. For someone who hadn't fired a weapon in a decade, it should have been impossible. "Sniper in position," she reported, her voice calm over the radio. "Rules of engagement," Woods's voice came back. "Weapons free if you have a clear shot. Priority is hostage safety." "Understood." The waiting began. In movies, snipers take their shot immediately. In reality, the waiting could last hours. Muscles cramp, eyes strain, concentration wavers. But Rachel had spent 10 years in a different kind of waiting, 10 years of patience, 10 years of pretending not to see while seeing everything. At the gate below, her flower cart sat abandoned, petals scattering in the wind. Hour 4 of the siege. In the conference room, the lead hostile was getting agitated. Through her scope, Rachel could see him pacing, weapon gesticulating. The hostages were seated against the far wall, hands on their heads. The teenager, Colonel Harrison's daughter, was crying. "I have partial visual on Hostile 1, Rachel reported. "He's agitated. This might escalate soon." "Jackson's here," Kumar reported. "He can take secondary position." "Negative," Rachel cut in. "Movement on the roof might alert them. I've got this." More waiting. Her shoulder ached from the rifle's weight. Her eyes burned from focus, but she didn't move. Couldn't move. Somewhere in her muscle memory, her body remembered nights in Afghanistan, waiting for targets that might never appear, shots that might never come. Then, at hour 5, Hostile 1 made a mistake. He walked to the window to look out at the police presence below. For 3 seconds, he presented a clear target. Rachel's world narrowed to the scope. Wind speed, 15 knots, gusting to 18. Distance, 823 meters. Target moving left to right at approximately 2 meters per second. The calculations happened instantly, unconsciously. She exhaled half a breath, found the natural pause between heartbeats, and squeezed. The rifle's crack echoed across the base. Through the scope, she saw Hostile 1 drop, clean shot. The other 2 hostiles scrambled for cover, but in their panic, one moved past another window. Rachel had already chambered another round, already calculated the new trajectory. The second shot followed 3 seconds after the first, 2 down. The third hostile had grabbed a hostage, the teenager, using her as a shield. Only part of his head was visible, an impossible target for most. But Rachel wasn't most. She waited. Patience. He had to move eventually, had to adjust his position. There. A shift to the right, trying to see his fallen comrades. For half a second, a clear line. Rachel took the shot. 3 shots, 3 hits, 17 seconds total. "Target's down," she reported calmly. "Repeat, all hostiles neutralized." The radio exploded with chatter. Confirmation teams moved in. Medical rushed to the hostages. But Rachel remained in position, watching through the scope until she saw the girl, Colonel Harrison's daughter, walk out alive. Only then did she safe the weapon and stand. The evacuation of the hostages was swift and professional. Medical teams swarmed, checking for injuries, trauma, shock. The teenager was physically unharmed, but emotionally shattered, clinging to her father when he arrived. Colonel Harrison held his daughter with the desperation of a man who'd nearly lost everything. In the command post, General Wood studied the shooting report with disbelief. 3 shots, 3 kills, at over 800 meters in 15-knot winds from a 62-year-old woman who hasn't officially fired a weapon in a decade. 62? Kumar said, surprised. "She looks..." "Stress ages you," Rachel said from the doorway. She'd refused medical attention, refused the offers to sit, refused everything except a bottle of water. "And I'm 57, General. The paperwork for Margaret Waters says 62. "We need to debrief," Wood said. "Your real identity, your history. With respect, General, in about 6 hours, maybe less, very dangerous people are going to know Rachel Cooper is alive and where to find her. I need to disappear. Again. You saved 12 lives today. We owe you. You owe me nothing. I had a debt to pay." Rachel's eyes grew distant. 14 years ago in Kandahar, I had a shot. Same distance, same conditions. I missed. A car bomb got through. 17 civilians died, including 6 children. She paused. "I've lived with that miss every day since. Today I didn't miss." Morrison stepped forward. "The flowers, every Friday. Was any of it real?" Rachel smiled, the first genuine warmth she'd shown. "The flowers were real, James. Your wife really does deserve fresh daisies every week, and you really should get that leg looked at. Where will you go? Somewhere else. Become someone else. It's what I do now." General Woods made a decision. "We can't let you just disappear. You're a witness to what happened here. There'll be investigations, reports." "General," Rachel interrupted gently, "check your classified channels. Operation Blackwater, subsection 7. My handler's name was Director Samuel Hayes. He'll confirm my status and handle the paperwork." The tech specialist was already typing. His face paled. "Ma'am, Director Hayes is... That's CIA, Special Activities. That's above your pay grade," Rachel finished. "Yes." 2 hours later, as crime scene investigators processed the administrative building and reporters gathered at the gates, a nondescript sedan pulled up to the medical building's loading dock. Rachel Cooper, once again wearing her dark glasses, climbed in. The car had government plates, but no other marking. Morrison was there to see her off, along with Kumar and, surprisingly, Colonel Harrison. "My daughter," Harrison said, his voice thick. "She wanted me to give you this." It was a pressed flower from Rachel's own cart, a daisy, carefully preserved between two pieces of paper. On the paper, in teenage handwriting, "Thank you for seeing what needed to be done." Rachel held it carefully, as if it were more precious than any medal. Tell her she's brave, braver than she knows." As the sedan pulled away, Morrison watched until it disappeared. "Think we'll see her again?" General Woods, who had joined them, shook her head. "People like that, Sergeant? They exist in the spaces we don't look. They're invisible until the moment they're needed. Then they do what's necessary and fade away again. But she was here for 10 years, right under our noses." "The best place to hide," Woods said, "is in plain sight." 6 months later, Fort Carson implemented new security protocols. Every vendor, every regular visitor, everyone who had routine access to the base underwent additional screening. They found 2 other individuals with suspicious backgrounds, though neither as dramatic as Rachel Cooper. The flower stand at the gate remained empty for 3 weeks. Then one morning, a new vendor appeared. A younger woman, Middle Eastern features, selling coffee and pastries. Her paperwork was impeccable. Her background checked out perfectly. She was friendly, efficient, and completely ordinary. Sergeant Morrison bought coffee from her every morning. Good coffee, too. She said she'd learned to make it during her time as a barista in Seattle. Everything about her was verified, documented, normal. But sometimes, when the wind was just right and she turned her head a certain way, Morrison could swear she was counting something, measuring distances, watching patterns. He never said anything, never reported his suspicions. Because if he'd learned anything from Rachel Cooper, it was this: sometimes the people protecting you are the ones you'd never suspect. And sometimes that's exactly how it needs to be. The official report listed the shooter as a qualified civilian contractor with prior military experience. No name, no details. The 3 shots were described as expertly placed and tactically sound. Nothing about the blind flower lady. Nothing about 10 years of deception. Nothing about redemption for a 14-year-old failure. But in certain circles, the quiet circles where operations without names are discussed in rooms without windows, the story spread. The blind sniper, they called her. The woman who gave up her sight to disappear, only to reveal she'd been seeing everything all along. Some said she went to another base, another identity, another decade of patient watching. Others said the CIA pulled her back in, that a talent like hers was too valuable to waste on flower arrangements. A few insisted she'd finally found peace, somewhere quiet, where the weight of perfect shots and missed opportunities could finally be set down. The truth, as with all the best legends, remained hidden. But at Fort Carson, every morning at 7 a.m., when the gates opened and the day began, guards would glance at the empty spot where the flower cart used to stand. And sometimes, when the wind was strong and the mission was critical, when impossible shots needed to be made and heroes needed to emerge from unlikely places, someone would remember the blind woman who saw everything. In the end, that's what mattered. Not the medals never awarded or the records never filed, not the identity never revealed or the past never fully explained. What mattered was that for 10 years, Rachel Cooper had stood watch in her own way. And when the moment came, when lives hung in the balance and everyone else said impossible, she had removed her dark glasses and done what she'd always been capable of doing. She had taken the shot, and she hadn't missed. Somewhere, in another city, at another gate, another invisible guardian was likely standing watch right now, selling something mundane, looking unremarkable, hiding in plain sight, waiting for the moment when extraordinary would be required from the ordinary, because that's what heroes do. Real heroes. Not the ones in movies with perfect hair and obvious courage, but the ones who walk among us unnoticed, carrying their capabilities quietly, never asking for recognition, never demanding respect, just waiting, watching, ready. The flower stand at Fort Carson was eventually filled by a real vendor, verified, vetted, and genuinely just selling flowers. But Morrison noticed something. Every morning, without fail, someone left a single daisy at the spot where Rachel used to stand. No note, no explanation, just a daisy, fresh and perfect, placed precisely where her cart's front wheel used to rest. The guards never saw who left it. The cameras somehow never caught it. It was just there, every dawn, a ghost of gratitude for a woman who'd been a ghost herself. Morrison never reported it. Some mysteries he'd learned were meant to remain unsolved. Some heroes were meant to remain hidden, and some shots, the ones that really mattered, echoed long after the sound had faded away. In his desk drawer, he kept one of those daisies, pressed and preserved. A reminder that heroes don't always wear uniforms. Sometimes they wear dark glasses, sometimes they sell flowers. And sometimes, when the world needs them most, they take off their disguise and show us what they've been capable of all along. If you had to hide your true identity for 10 years to protect yourself, could you do what Rachel did? Risk it all to save strangers? Let us know in the comments. If her story reminded you that heroes often hide in plain sight, hit the like button and subscribe to Hidden Hero Stories for more incredible tales. Until next time, remember, the person you walk past every day might just be waiting for their moment to save the world.